with me today is Laura, an amazing career strategist and a wonderful person. I have to thank her for agreeing in the moment, in a heartbeat, to come and share with us her background and resources for navigating the present scenario. Laura, I'd let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Oh gosh, well, you've done such a wonderful job chalking me up already. I'm blushing. Thank you. Yes, so I'm a certified resume writer and a career transition coach. So what I do is I help people at all stages in their career to help them navigate some kind of career change. So what I do is I work with them on developing a personal brand so that we can develop really top-notch personal marketing documents. And then of course, once we've got those created, we look at putting together a comprehensive job search strategy so that they can, you know, not just fire off the resumes on job boards like Indeed, but really work on developing relationships with those within their industries and across different industries, because we all have so much we can learn from one another to help us grow professionally.
That's just so true. And in the present time, I think it's becoming even more important to make sure that you're doing your resumes well and you're doing the due diligence when you're sending out those job applications. So people like yourself can be instrumental in ensuring that people don't waste their time, waste the opportunities they could actually get by sending out the right document, right wording, right content as per the need of the job posting. But tell me a little bit about how the present scenario has impacted you personally. COVID-19 has been, you know, it's sad what the human race is going through at this point. It's not an easy situation. There are young people who are struggling, young graduates who are struggling. There are newcomers to the community that are struggling, especially because, and layoffs. Look at the number of layoffs that have happened. So how has it impacted you as a person? So let's look at, I mean, considering the fact that people look at us as influencers or people who have you know, who have a secure job, life, work, whatever have you. So how is it impacting you?
Well, I didn't notice an immediate change because since I've had my own business, I've always worked from home. And I have always been what I'll consider, you know, quite extroverted. So I, you know, since starting my career and working from home, made going out into the community and getting to know people, especially other career practitioners, a top priority, because you really need to have that sense of working towards something bigger with a group of people that are, you know, passionate about achieving the same or similar goals for their clients. So I still have that sense of community. The people that I normally would meet with for dinner, we're now just moving it to group, like online group meetings. So we have one scheduled tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about the different strategies that we're using with our clients right now, because of course we have had to adapt very quickly to what's changing pretty much every day now. So for me, a lot of what I used to teach my clients as far as jobs methodology has quite dramatically changed, because you know, because I'm an extrovert, I teach a lot about how to pitch yourself in person, how to find the right networking events to attend, and how to you know, build those relationships organically without kind of, you know, very aggressively going up to people and saying like, hey, I need a job. Right? So working on developing those in-person relationships. Of course, you can't do that right now. So the tactics have switched to more, well, let's look at ways we can really cultivate a network of people online through demonstrating thought leadership, and how to reach out to people with the right messaging. And then of course, a tactic that I would only typically tell my clients to spend about 10% of their job search efforts on is online applications, where now we're seeing, okay, well, that's going to be the biggest focus of your job search, is conducting those online applications, because that's just the way things have turned right now.
So for you, it's still the same normal work profile, just that you're continuing to work from home, because there's a lot of people who have had to do that shift, including myself. My work involves being in the office with people. However, being a small team, we've been able to do it pretty quickly, seamlessly. We are all tech savvy, so it's not been that big of a issue. However, I do know of others who are going through a very challenging time. What about family?
It is tough, because I made that transition about 3 years ago when I started this business, and I really grieved for that office environment and just having that daily interaction with my colleagues. So I totally can understand just how hard it is to make that transition to working from home every day, and not having, that daily kind of team camaraderie.
It's such a valid point. I was in fact listening to CBC just this afternoon, and they were talking about office dynamics, the political issues between colleagues, and how that plays out. And when you're working from home, how can you ensure that your team members or your supervisors still have that trust that you are giving your 100%? Also the fact that people who made that initial transition were finding, we're getting antsy, we're getting frustrated pretty much with having to do it all by themselves and nobody to bounce ideas off of. Another thing that I heard was, if you have a dedicated corner, and this happens to be my corner, my space that I like sitting and working from, if you do not have a dedicated corner, it's harder than for people who just are walking around with wherever they are. So they find it harder to kind of work than people who have a dedicated space to do so.
Right. Yep, I can totally see that. The lines between work and home life get very blurry then.
What about family? You mentioned home. So what about family? How's that playing out? Do you feel distracted, or how has family been taking it?
Well, definitely, I live with my fiance Nick, so definitely spending a lot more time together these days, which so far has been great. I'm really loving having someone else in the house every day, who, when I'm ready to have a break from my writing. Most of my days are comprised of, I'd say, 80% writing, 20% coaching. So it's nice to get a break from writing, because it within itself is a very isolating task. So it's nice to, pop upstairs to the kitchen and say, hey, what are you up to? How's your day going? I'm liking that.
That's wonderful. What about him? How's he feeling?
Good, I guess. I mean, a little uncertain about what's going to happen with his own job. I mean, I think a lot of people are in that position right now, where
absolutely
so many businesses being closed for right now potentially 2 weeks, but also that could be a lot longer. We don't know. How he's a B2B salesperson, so how are you supposed to sell to other businesses? And a lot of those businesses you'd normally communicate with and sell to are closed for now.
I hear you. And for me too, my family, my husband has to go to work. He is in the essential services category. So, and for my sons, and in fact, my eldest son, we had a bit of a situation, because one of the workplaces that was identified with COVID-19 was his workplace. So we had to actually go through the whole spiel of the self-quarantine and making sure that it was a bit of a hit and miss, and thankfully everything worked out. He did not get sick, or we did not get sick, but that's the reality of life. And being I mean, it's great to be at home and work from home, but then sometimes it's also challenging because we are a big family. My parents are here, my husband and my 2 teenage sons. So sometimes it's a challenge how to keep one person quiet while I'm on a conference call. So it's funny sometimes.
That's too funny. I know my fiance Nick, he was just out there at work. He was grinding something in the garage. He likes to work on cars in his spare time. So he was making a ton of noise, but he knew I had a call at 5. So he knew he had to have it wrapped up by then.
Okay. So yeah, that's it. So there's a noise curfew when I have to tell them, okay, I have a call. Make sure you guys, stay quiet. Even the water makes so much noise here. So you turn off the tap and it's like, oh, what just happened here?
Yeah, you notice sounds that you normally wouldn't once you start having these conference calls.
Absolutely. So tell me, what would be your piece of advice for people who are presently navigating this change of events? How do you suggest for them to stay focused and continue to do what they need to do? I'm a very optimistic person and I'm known for it, but this is like an ebb, a flow, a wave. Things will get better. So what can people do according to you in the meantime to continue?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And one thing I think people, whether or not they'll admit it, is that they crave structure, some kind of schedule. So for a lot of people, they used to have their morning routine, get up, breakfast, coffee, whatever, hit the road. They might have had an hour-long commute to work, and then, they've got their routine at work. So what I'm recommending to people is to try to, as much as possible, to maintain that same daily structure. But now, instead of spending time in your car for maybe that 20 minutes to an hour where you'd be commuting, to dedicate that time to something that you can put towards your future career growth. So, of course, for me, I'm promoting, we'll work on your resume. This is a great time to reflect on what the achievements you've had in your career, touch base with some of the people that you've worked on projects with and ask them, what did you like about working with me? What did you appreciate most? And how did, how was I able to help you? Or what could I have done differently? Just a lot of self-reflection, I think, within those periods of time. And then as you do that self-reflective work, start documenting it so that you can have really solid stories that you can showcase in your resume and your other personal marketing documents. Or start dedicating that time to learning a new skill. There are a lot of really great courses you can take online, and I think right now a lot of people are doing like free courses and free webinars and things like that, because they're just trying, people are very giving at this time, right?
Absolutely. You make a very valid point.
Yeah.
LinkedIn Learning has provided free courses. There are so many coaches who are offering, free time with clients, offering advice, just like you are doing right now, creating content which can help people sail through. So very valid points. I'm just so glad that you're reinforcing these ideas that people can have.
Yeah. And I think too, for those people that do go through a layoff right now, I have had an influx of those clients. I have had companies reach out to me, and I've been blown away at how compassionate their HR directors are at really wanting to make sure that those employees who are unfortunately having to be let go are getting the support that they need, and that they're getting additional additional money on top of their regular severance in order to kind of float them through this difficult time period. So I've been really impressed by that, because in the past it's been a lot of like ticking off the box to make, okay, we'll give you a bit of support just to make sure we've ticked off that box. But I've seen a lot of genuine concern coming from HR leaders throughout this process.
Yes, it has been heartening. I agree with you. we see the humanitarian side of the HR of late, of people themselves trying to support, because this was not intended or intentional. It's just the turn of events has completely blown people away.
Yeah. And so for people going through that job loss, I always recommend take a moment to pause, process it, and grieve it. It's like any other loss, so I think you do have to move through those stages of grief. That way, you're not like distracted by your anger or your sadness. You really want to be able to move past that so that you can take that breath, find that focus, and then channel that energy into developing your strategy moving forward. It's hard, but I think that it's necessary to take that time.
Completely. I am so glad you mentioned that point, because I have seen people who kind of feel just lost because they did not take the time to grieve the process, what happened, what unfolded, and they personalize it instead of looking at it as something that is a turn of events. They kind of start doing a blame game, which can really be detrimental for their careers and future paths.
Yeah, and everyone has different packages, but for anybody who is let go, who has their healthcare and their benefits as part of their severance package, look to see if you have any access to social workers or counselors, because if you have money that you can put towards that, then I'd say do it. Take the time to have those sessions with those professionals who can help you work through that and make sure that you're not looking at it as, a personal attack. You want to be able to separate that from the situation.
Very valid point, and this is something that can really, really help you carry forward in this present scenario. It will not only help you with the career progression, it will also help you with your mental health. Thank you so much for making that excellent point, Laura. Now on we've done some heavy talking. What if I was to ask you, if you had a magic wand? This is becoming my favorite question, by the way.
Okay.
If you had a magic wand and you could ask for one wish, but this wish has to be for yourself. You're not going to ask it for people, for others.
I can't say we need to find the cure.
No, it has to be just you, yourself, your personal self. I want you to be selfish at this point, because that's what, otherwise we just are so giving. We'll constantly say, oh, I want this for my mom or for my child or for my partner or for the community. I want you to reflect for yourself. What would it be that would make you happy, or what would you ask?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I have to put some thought into that.
And surprisingly, every single person I've asked this question says the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think just given that I've been communicating with a lot of friends, family, colleagues, clients, but it's still not the same as having that physical proximity. And I love food and I love wine. So I think one wish that I'd love to come true right now is for all of this, when it passes, to have a really wonderful big dinner party.
Oh, that's so sweet. This is sometimes certain things make us reflect on not taking life for granted, of knowing the value of having that social connection. And like you, I like no social distancing for me in times that are normal, but this is extraordinary. And we have been, but I completely feel you. It would be just so good to get together with family and friends and to share a meal.
And play board games. I miss playing board games.
That's I don't know when was the last time I played one, but I used to play them. Even with my kids when they were younger, we would. Our favorite one was Ludo, Snakes and Ladders and Ludo.
Oh, I haven't heard that. I'll have to look up.
Snakes and Ladders and Ludo was one of the favorite ones. They liked chess as well. I'm not good at chess, so I stayed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been a wonderful conversation. What would you want to leave our audience with as one thing that you would want to give away for them to reflect on?
Yeah. So I think it's important for people to, as hard as it might be, to remember that this will pass. It's probably gonna get a lot rougher before it gets better, but it will get better. And when the time comes for you to pounce on that opportunity, you really want to make sure you're ready mentally, but also with all the tools that you need in order to maximize your success when that, that job comes available that you've really been working hard to secure. So take this time, invest in yourself, reflect on your career, put together those, the resume, the cover letter, really bolster that LinkedIn profile and presence, and just make sure you've got everything in place and you feel really confident for when the time comes to leverage those tools.
What a wonderful piece of advice. I love it. And that's what I keep telling people. Take this time to invest into yourself. And you pointed out, you can revamp your profile, you can work on your resume, you can have the time to curate your cover letter. And it's not like that employment has completely, it's not shut down. I am still looking at job postings and people are still screening candidates. I think this is a great opportunity for you to put your best foot forward. So wonderful points to take the time and put this package together and be ready for when the time is right.
Yeah, and it's I guess good opportunity might not be the right phrasing, but this is a unique time where someone will be able to potentially transition into a totally different industry and quite quickly, right? So think of anything that to do with medical supplies, like that's ramping up right now. So learning how to manufacture a new a new tool, a new piece of equipment, I mean, that's going to be hotly needed.
Absolutely. You're very right. This is the time when people can step back a little, breathe, and get back into the groove of things as the shift happens.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Laura. This was a wonderful conversation. Very, very thankful for you to take time out and spend this time with me, having a heart-to-heart.
Please make sure to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell to keep updated with all our videos. Thank you.